2, 1. Preparing to live stream.
We love it. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Let's take off. All right. Hello, 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 hello. Sean Brady, leverage your lunch. I am here with the fabulous, the one, the only, Jenny Farr. She's not too far away. She's at Medici Media Space, which is virtually everywhere.
That is accurate.
She's our media coordinator today from Medici Media Space, and big shout out to those guys and gals for always supporting us and being in our corner and supporting business community in a very cool and dynamic way. So Jenny asked me to talk on my little thing, which is on my LinkedIn. I love to share wisdom in wine, wealth, and health. So what is that, and what does that all mean in combination? So these are things from my personality that I hold true to myself, and there's certain practices that I hold around each. But you'll see a theme in a second as I go through a few of these, and hopefully in leveraging your lunch, some of these things will begin to have you develop some of your own practices and rules of engagement in your own life. So for wine, it's first of all, budget. It's just like personal finance. Wine tastes are personal. They're individualistic. And that's why you'll always see the Be More You hashtag somewhere up on my little background there, because it's really about you and what's important to you and your life and what works for you. Some people don't like wine. Some people don't like to drink alcohol at anything. But the bigger point is that you do like something, and there's something that is important to you. And on wine, wealth, and health, those are three areas that are definitely important to me to sustain my way of living and experiencing, enjoying life with my family, my friends, my kids, everyone. So that's a little bit of insight into it there. Jenny, should I start going deeper on each of the individual topics?
Yes, absolutely.
All right, cool. Which one would you like to hear about first? Because this is an interactive thing.
I would love to hear about, let's start at the end. Start at health.
At health. Okay. Well, as you know, without our health, we have nothing, right? It becomes the most important thing. And, there's lots of parables and stories, and I won't go into those now, but one thing I realized over time is that, look, when you're down because of a sickness or an illness or an injury, that's no fun. So we want to focus on our health and I like to do at least the minimal things that I like to do to enjoy my whole life, right? So I'm not an ultra athlete. I don't really desire to be one. Sometimes I train like I am, but I'm not. And I know why. Because I like to eat too much. I like to enjoy my wine and things like that. But there are minimum things that I like to do that I think I need to do, not anybody else. But I know I need to accomplish these. And right now it's my 15,000 steps a day. Sometimes those steps are running. Sometimes they're just walking. And then there's other little routines that I do periodically to go on that. But every day, and certainly this is, today will be, 50 days in a row, but usually I do it at least during the work week, so 5 days a week, 15,000 steps a day. And why 15,000? Because there was a little article and study done way back. And I've talked about this on past episodes, which I'm sure they're in the archives somewhere. But there was a study on Scottish postal workers, and they found that those who walked versus those who drove or were in a sedentary position, could be standing, right? But their quality of life after they retired was not only elongated, but their quality of life was that much better before they actually passed. So this was a long study. It was done over 4 decades. And what it basically found is this: those who did closer to that 15,000 steps a day, whether they be walking around or, just physically moving, they did so much better And that's why I know movement is a big, huge thing. I know that there's all these other awesome programs out there. We hear about the HIIT and, I do intermittent fasting every once in a while and all these other things for our health, right? And some of those are trends, but some of them are not just fads. And I know that movement for sure is one of those things that's not a fad. That is a trend for life. The more we move and engage our bodies, the better off we'll be. So that's why I do a little bit on health. That's my thing. But have a practice for yourself. Jenny, do you have a health practice you like to do on a regular daily basis if possible?
Yeah, for sure. Lately,
Yeah.
I have been actually focusing on trying to create and maintain those daily routines in this
Yes.
this COVID era. It's been very important for me to do that. When I
Yeah.
could just go out and do whatever I wanted
Yes.
before, it was fine. I didn't really need the scheduled things to do. Um, but I just don't have that available to me right now. So I have like my morning routine, my get home from work routine, and those things have been very, very good for my mental health.
Yes. And for those wondering, so Medici Media Space is a business community and, there's multiple businesses there and they remain open to serve that business community. And some of them are essential businesses. So that's why Jenny is there. That's why she's masked up and being socially distanced and responsible. I know that what you can't see is that there's a counter right in front of her. And that's where the entrance is. So she's right up there and you'll hear people come through occasionally. So is there anything you can do while you're at work at Medici, right, that would add to your health?
Oh, certainly. And it's
We
a
used to have a
space.
gym there, but that's a whole different story.
Oh, certainly. I mean, I was thinking it'd be nice to be able to like jump on an elliptical every once in a while. But to be honest, I would never do that. I don't really enjoy exercise.
Yeah. Well, so for
uh,
those who don't know, here's what I used to do when I used to go in. I have no need to be in the physical space of Medici, but I am engaged almost every day virtually, like I am on the show, but also for the strategy sessions. But what I would do in between my meetings and little work online is uh, Medici is a pretty big space. It's one of the larger co-working facilities that I know of, and I used to be a commercial real estate broker, and it's 55,000 square feet under a roof. So not only did I used to walk inside, but when the weather permitted, I would walk outside. And that I would almost get, 2,000 steps just walking around the parking lot. So again, socially distanced, safe, or even inside the warehouse, just meandering up and down the aisles. I don't know if you can still do that because I think there was a new tenant in there with a bunch of stuff. But when that was available, I would do that. Or sometimes even just walk in the halls. Or I would even be on a phone call and walk around Studio A, the big black box studio, especially if nobody was using it, because a lot of times nobody was. And that way, now we have reservation policies, but that was another way too, just to check on things and make sure I was moving in between my meetings. Because you sit down like this long enough, and man, you get tight.
Certainly,
I do.
I was about to say like that's what I do. I'll get up and I'll walk around and stretch my legs.
Yeah,
I have a smartwatch that buzzes if I sit still too long. It
that's
reminds
right.
me that I've got to get up and keep moving.
Come on, move 250 steps this hour, please. It's good stuff. Is there anything you wanted to add on to health? Any tips for
Um,
people out there? Because I love to gain and share wisdom.
yeah, for sure. I was just thinking to transition into the wine and wealth segment.
Yes.
I think that there's a communal aspect to sharing a drink and sharing things with friends that is also very healthy
Yes.
and personally enriching, maybe not financially, but definitely enriching.
Yes. So we got to feed our soul, right? And part of that is feeling good. And feeling good is, Dr. Wayne Dwyer said, feeling good is feeling God and being close to that. And one of the things that I love about wine is that it creates an experience. And it's one that we want to try to replicate over and over and over again, right? And it could be at a certain place, it could be with a certain person or people, right? A little tougher in our socially distanced times. But the one thing I find in a glass of wine is, I kind of geek out about it a little bit. And this is even just simple wine. It doesn't even have to be that expensive. Most of the wine that I have and do my regular wine guy show on, most of it's under $15 a bottle. A lot of it's under $10 a bottle because I know that works for my budget, which has to do with wealth. But going back to wine, so it's the experience and the fun and the engagement that I get to not only engage in with myself and my spouse, Michelle, but also for other people, right? Having all the flavors come through. And it's like, there's huge joy for me when, I'm not a sommelier, right? I'm not a som, but when I help a friend pick out a wine and they're like, oh, wow, that's really good, right? There's a joy there. It's like me interacting, sharing, and helping someone. And that's why wine made the list for me. I could do it with other things, right? Like there's always been other experiences in the past with other types of beverages and food and things like that. And that's probably why I have the wine under Brady Eats. Because, man, what a great experience. It's all about the experience. But that's why I put wine up there, because that's a big part of my life.
Yeah, I think anyone could take that kind of formula and replace it with that thing that brings in that joy, the communal aspect of it, and have the same experience.
Absolutely. There's all kinds of communal things, right? And you just substitute one and put in another. And you know what? We've done so many things with wonderful communities, whether it be for volunteer or even at work. And it's cool to experience things together. And of course, that leaves the last one, the other W, the big wealth. And, I'm a huge fan of Dave Ramsey and his simple practices where, it's like first, realize that all things financial are personal, right? And it doesn't matter what you make, but it does matter what you keep. And some of these wealth principles, they're definitely common sense. And a lot of this stuff, I knew before I ever heard of Dave Ramsey. I think a lot of people have because it's common sense, but common sense practice isn't so common. So these wealth practices that come into play are kind of known, right? Certainly save along the way. You can save for a rainy day and don't spend more than you have available to spend. Now, I've met a lot of brokers and of different types, and there's even a quote out there somewhere which I took in a little different context, but I think that I took it in the right context of this person who stated it, and is that every broker should live within their means, even if they have to borrow money to do that. And I know if Dave Ramsey would hear, it's like, oh my God, what are you talking about? Right? So it's, but I lived that life. And, on paper, I looked really, really great. But that wasn't the wealth I'm talking about. I'm talking about real wealth where you don't have the concern about money coming in. And certainly you don't have a concern of how much you're spending, betting on the come, so to speak. Right? You're not worried about things coming. Say, oh, I hope this works out. There is definitely a way to take risk. And I think it was Mark Cuban who said this is, say, look, have enough so that that's not a concern. Have your rent paid. Don't worry about necessarily saving money on things if you're spending a bunch on your credit card to impress other people or things like that. It's like, no, don't do that. You're not impressing anybody. Impress yourself with, having a foundation of financial prowess that supports you in your life. Again, it's all personal. I can't tell other people how to do it, but without kind of these three pillars in our lives, it makes life a little more difficult than it needs to be. Wouldn't you agree?
Certainly. Much more complicated.
Yes. So there's a little bit on me on wine, wealth, and health. Is there anything else you think I should add, or that I know you know me a little bit better than the audience? What do you think?
No, sorry. I am a little distracted. No,
that's all right. That's multitasking.
Yeah, I think you've covered a lot of good bullet points, a lot of stuff to kind of chew on and think about over the day.
Awesome. Well, that's what we do. Leverage your lunch wherever you're at, wherever you're around the world, any time of day. Thank you for being here and watching me and Jenny converse and share a little insight and gain wisdom together. All right. Ready with that bumper, Jenny?
I'm ready.
All right. We're ready already. Well, like we always say, we may not see you in person, but we'll always see you right here on social media. Thanks for watching. All right. Good stuff. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.